Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going on a deep dive
Oh, deep dive.
into the world of a Baroque art,
All right.
but with a twist. We're not just looking at the beauty and drama of it.
Okay.
We're going to uncover how this style was actually a response to anxieties about death
Oh, interesting.
that people in the 17th century were wrestling with.
Okay.
Our guide for this deep dive is an article from Apollo magazine.
Okay.
It's called Baroque Out of Darkness. So
Okay.
how did these big shifts in science and philosophy back in the 17th century impact art,
That's a great question.
and specifically the Baroque style?
Yeah. Well, you have to remember that the 17th century was a time of
Oh, yeah.
immense upheaval. The
Yeah.
scientific revolution was in full swing.
It was?
It was challenging these long-held beliefs about the universe.
Oh, really?
Take thinkers like Galileo and Descartes.
Right.
They were proposing all these radical new ideas about the nature of reality.
It was like the rug was pulled out from under them.
Exactly.
The old certainties were gone.
Yeah. And so with these new ways of understanding the world
Right.
came a new awareness of humanity's fragility
Yeah.
and the inevitability of death. You
Yeah.
know, this existential angst just permeated society.
I see.
And it really found a powerful outlet in the art of the time,
Oh, wow.
especially in the Baroque style.
So it wasn't just painting pretty pictures.
Yeah. Not all.
They were grappling with these big questions.
Absolutely. And one of the ways that they did this was through symbolism.
Okay.
The article points out some recurring motifs in Baroque art,
Okay.
like skulls, extinguished candles, even soap bubbles.
Okay, I get the skull,
Yeah.
extinguished candle, pretty straightforward.
Right.
But soap bubbles, what's the connection there?
Well, think about it for a second.
Okay.
Soap bubble is beautiful and iridescent,
Yeah.
but it's also incredibly fragile and fleeting.
Hmm.
It exists for a brief moment and then poof, it's gone. Especially in a time when plagues could just wipe out entire communities.
Yeah.
And the average lifespan was way shorter than today.
Right.
The fragility of a soap bubble would have resonated deeply.
Wow. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
It's like a metaphor for the precariousness of life
exactly.
back then.
And that's what makes Baroque art so fascinating. It's not just about surface beauty. It's
Yeah.
about engaging with these deeper, often uncomfortable truths about the human condition.
So they're kind of inviting us to think about our own mortality,
Yeah,
to really appreciate the preciousness of life.
they are. And they're doing it in a way that's
Yeah,
both visually stunning and intellectually stimulating.
totally. The article dives into two specific paintings that I think really capture this tension
Okay.
between life and death.
Yeah.
Cornelis Norbertus Giesbrecht's Trompe-l'oeil, with studio walls and Veneta's still life
Okay.
from 1668,
All right.
and Otto Marcius van Schriek's still life with Thistle and Snake,
Okay.
painted in 1663.
Right. Let's start with the Giesbrechts.
Okay, let's...
Trompe-l'oeil literally translates to deceive the eye.
Yeah.
And Giesbrechts was a master of this technique.
Oh, he was.
In this painting.
Yeah.
He creates the illusion of a wooden board
Uh-huh.
with various objects attached to it,
Oh.
letters, a note,
Yeah.
even a painting.
Right.
But it's all painted on a flat canvas.
Wow.
So he's playing with our perception of reality.
He's blurring those lines between what's
Yeah.
real and what's an illusion.
Right.
And this kind of plays into that larger Baroque theme
Okay.
of questioning appearances
Yeah.
and confronting the ultimate illusion, which is life itself.
And what about the Vanitas part of the title?
Oh, yes. A Veneta's painting is a specific type of still life
Okay.
that's meant to remind the viewer of the fleeting nature of life
Right.
and the inevitability of death.
I remember learning that comes from the Latin phrase,
Yeah,
Vanitas vanitatum omnia vanitas.
that's right, which means vanity of vanities, all is vanity.
It's a reminder that material possessions,
Yeah.
fame, even life itself, it
Mhm.
all eventually fades away.
So Giesbrechts is using this realistic technique to create a visual sermon
Yes.
on the nature of life and death.
Right. It's like he's saying, don't be fooled by what you see,
Wow.
because it's all temporary.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own mortality.
Yeah.
Now onto that still life with Thistle and Snake.
Okay.
I'm intrigued by that combination. What's going on there?
Well, the thistle, with its prickly thorns,
Right.
is a symbol of earthly suffering.
I see.
And the snake, of course, has long been associated with death and temptation,
Right.
going all the way back to the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, it's a pretty potent combination.
Yeah.
What was Van Schriek trying to convey by bringing these new images together?
I think he was highlighting the inherent duality of existence.
Right.
Life is full of beauty and wonder,
Right.
but it's also intertwined with pain, decay,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately death. Yeah.
And just like the sisal and the snake coexist in nature,
Yeah.
so too do these opposing forces exist within us.
It's like you can't have one without the other.
Right.
There's always this tension
Yeah.
between light and darkness,
Mm.
life and death.
Exactly. And I think that's something that really resonated with people
Yeah.
in the 17th century.
Yeah.
They were living in a world that was both exhilarating
Yeah.
and terrifying.
Right.
They were making incredible discoveries about the universe,
Totally.
but they were also facing the very real threats of disease, war, and religious persecution.
So these Baroque still lifes
Hmm.
were like little microcosms of their
Okay.
world.
Yes, and that's what makes them so compelling.
Right.
Even today,
Yeah.
they invite us to look beyond the surface
Mm-hmm.
and contemplate the deeper meanings
Right.
behind the objects and symbols.
It's interesting to think about how differently we might react to those symbols today.
Oh, yeah.
Like a skull, for example.
Is often seen as a symbol of danger or rebellion
Right.
in modern culture. But back then,
Yeah.
it was a much more direct reminder of mortality.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
The meaning of symbols can shift over time
Right.
and across cultures. But what remains constant is our fascination with life and death.
Totally.
These are universal human concerns that artists have been grappling with for centuries.
It makes you realize that we're not so different
Right.
from those people
Yeah,
living in the 17th century.
exactly.
We might have different anxieties
Mm.
and different ways of expressing them,
Yeah.
but the fundamental questions remain the same.
And that's what I find so powerful about art.
Mm.
It has the ability to transcend time
Totally.
and connect us to people
Right.
from different eras and different walks of life.
Yeah, it's like we're having a conversation
Yeah.
with the artists across the centuries.
Yeah, a conversation that continues to resonate today.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that while the Baroque period was preoccupied with death,
Yeah,
it wasn't all doom and gloom.
it wasn't.
The exuberance and grandeur of Baroque art are a testament to that.
Yeah, think about the ornate churches,
Right.
the dramatic sculptures, the vibrant paintings.
Yeah.
They were embracing life,
Yeah.
even in the face of death.
I'm thinking about how that Apollo article was titled Baroque Out of Darkness.
Yeah,
It's so fitting
it is.
because it captures that sense of finding light and beauty
Right.
in the midst of darkness and uncertainty.
It does, and it reminds us that the Baroque period wasn't just about morbidity and fear.
Right.
It was also about finding meaning and purpose in life,
Yeah.
even in the face of our own mortality.
It's about acknowledging the darkness, but not letting it consume us.
Precisely. And I think that's a message that is
Oh.
incredibly relevant today,
Yeah.
perhaps even more so than it was in the 17th century.
Right. So what does this all mean for us?
That's a good question.
What can we take away from our deep dive
Yeah.
into Baroque art and its fascination with death?
Well, for me, it's a reminder that art can be such a powerful tool
Yeah.
for exploring complex emotions and ideas.
It's true.
And it can help us kind of confront these difficult truths
Right.
about ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah.
And, it can also offer these moments of beauty and solace,
Yeah.
even in the face of mortality.
Right. It's like they were showing us it's okay to feel those big feelings.
Yeah,
To acknowledge the darkness, but also celebrate the light.
I agree. And, it makes me wonder, how do we see these themes of mortality reflected
Oh, that's interesting.
in art today?
Yeah.
Do we have our own visual language for expressing these
Right.
universal human concerns?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't see as many literal skulls and hourglasses
Right.
in contemporary art, but
Yeah.
the exploration of life, death, and the human condition
Mm.
continues to be a driving force for so many artists.
Absolutely. Think about performance art,
Right.
installation art, even bio art.
Yeah.
These are all mediums that are pushing boundaries
Totally.
and challenging our perceptions of life and mortality
Mhm.
in new and sometimes unsettling ways.
Yeah, and we can't forget the role of technology
Oh, of course.
in all this,
Yeah.
in shaping how we experience art
Right.
and how artists engage with these themes.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing to think about virtual reality experiences
It is.
that simulate near-death experiences.
I know, it's wild.
Or digital art that explores the boundaries between the physical and the digital, the living and the non-living.
It's so interesting.
And all of this shows us how art just continues to evolve and adapt to our changing understanding of the world.
It does.
And it's a reminder that those big questions about life and death, they're never fully answered.
No, they're not.
They're ongoing conversations.
They are.
And art provides a platform for engaging with those conversations in meaningful and thought-provoking ways.
It's like each generation finds new ways to grapple with these age-old mysteries.
Exactly. So to our listeners, I encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep engaging with art in all its forms. You never know what insights you might uncover.
That's true.
About yourselves and the world around you.
I love that.
Yeah.
And on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of Baroque art.
Yeah.
And its enduring fascination with mortality.
It's so fascinating.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey with us.
I hope so.
I know I have.
Me too.
It's been great.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep those minds curious and those eyes open
Yes.
to the beauty and wonder of art.
And don't forget to check out the Baroque Out of Darkness article.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
In Apollo Magazine for yourself.
Definitely worth a read.
It's a fascinating read.
Good.
See you next time. Well, for me, it's a reminder that art can be like a powerful tool for exploring these complex emotions and ideas.
Yeah, sure.
And it can help us confront these difficult truths about ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah. And it can also offer us these moments of beauty and solace.
Totally, even in the face of death.
Absolutely.
Like the Baroque artists were showing us that, you know, it's okay to feel those big feelings, to acknowledge the darkness, but also to celebrate the light.
Absolutely. And it challenges us to think about how we see these themes of mortality reflected in art today.
Right.
Do we have our own visual language
That's a good
for expressing those like universal human concerns?
I mean, maybe we don't see as many literal skulls and hourglasses in contemporary art, but that exploration of life, death, and the human condition continues to be a driving force.
It does.
For so many artists.
Absolutely. Think about performance art, installation art, even bioart.
Totally.
These are all mediums that are like pushing the boundaries and challenging our perceptions of life and mortality in new and sometimes unsettling ways.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we can't forget the role of technology in all of this.
Oh, of course not.
In shaping how we experience art.
Right.
And how artists engage with these themes.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing to think about virtual reality experiences that simulate near-death experiences.
I know.
Or digital art that explores these boundaries between the physical and the digital, the living and the non-living.
Fascinating.
And all of this really shows us how art continues to like evolve.
It does.
And adapt to our changing understanding of the world.
Right. And it reminds us that those big questions about life and death are never really fully answered.
They're not, they're ongoing conversations.
Yeah. And art kind of gives us that platform.
It does.
For engaging with those conversations.
In meaningful and thought-provoking ways.
It's like each generation finds new ways to grapple with these age-old mysteries.
Exactly. So to our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep engaging with art. In all its forms.
I love that.
You never know what insights you might uncover about yourself and the world around you.
And on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of Baroque art. And its enduring fascination with mortality.
It's so fascinating.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey with us.
Me too.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those eyes open to the beauty and wonder of art.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to check out that Baroque Out of Darkness article.
Oh, yeah. Great idea.
From Apollo Magazine.
It's a good one.
It's a fascinating read.
It is.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.